News today that Kieran Tierney did not train with the team. He is apparently not injured, but is instead sick. And you have to imagine that that's a proper illness like bubonic plague or tuberculosis or Ebola or something like that, because as we all know, he's made in Scotland from girders, and he's a short sleeves in a snowstorm type of left back that I just didn't think would ever get ill. Injured, sadly, yes, but ill, no. Having said that, I'm doing him a disservice. This season, he has not been injured. But he has barely featured since the arrival of Zinchenko. He was one of Arteta's favourites when he first became manager of Arsenal, and arguably his first name on the team sheet. Things have certainly changed since then. Saying that, he has played 17 times in the Premier League this season, although that is hugely misleading. If you added up all of the minutes he's played, it comes to 468, which obviously is it's roughly five games worth. And this is largely because when he is brought on, he's brought on in extra time. So he had injuries, and it probably was because of the injuries that there was a need to get cover as left back. But Zinchenko, when we signed him, it wasn't entirely clear to everybody in the preseason whether we were signing him as a left back or we were signing Zinchenko to play in midfield. It turns out both. It turns out that that's a new role. Actually, it's 2 in 1. You play left back, midfield. That's something that Arteta has wanted to play, it seems, and even gave it a try with Granit Xhaka at left back, if you remember that, and it was just a bit baffling and certainly didn't work anything like as well as Zinchenko's playing in that position. And now is beginning to look more and more like one of the captains of the club, which ironically is a role that Kieran Tierney was heavily anticipated to take in the departure of Aubameyang. Hasn't worked out like that for him at all, and he seems to have been left out in the cold, which, although you'd think he would really like that, doesn't seem to have suited him so far. Now, Zinchenko is having a wonderful season. The problem is that Kieran Tierney does not play the kind of football that Arteta really likes. He does not want a left back to go marauding up the left wing and piling in crosses, because we don't really have players in the box to pick them up. Now, Kieran Tierney's cutting an increasingly isolated figure within the squad. You don't see him around that much. He's increasingly likely looking rumour that he is actually being lined up for a transfer to Newcastle. Certainly, as I've said before, Kieran Tierney is a player who's far too good and is in the prime of his career. He's far too good to be on a bench, even if it is the Arsenal bench. Unai Emery, who after all is the manager who signed Kieran Tierney, would also like to see him at Villa. It seems like Kieran will have his pick of clubs to go to. Now, his contract doesn't technically expire until 2026, so you would hope that Arsenal would be able to get a really good transfer fee for his sale, and I think that might be the final push. Since this is all just speculation, and if we are speculating, why shouldn't I just go for it? I'm going to wildly speculate. I think that Arteta and Kieran Tierney have not necessarily seen eye to eye recently. Whether it's because Kieran Tierney's been sulking a little bit because he hasn't had the game time, maybe there has been an actual falling out, but I think what we're seeing here is the kind of ruthless streak from Arteta. This is the wild speculation. Has there been a falling out? Is Kieran Tierney really unfit? We'll find out anyway, whether he goes with the squad or not, but we will see.